Many people have found a bluegrass song that speaks to them over all others. The problem is, the song that speaks to me only speaks to me truly if it's sung by Ralph Stanley. Ralph Stanley's life and songs are extremely important to bluegrass music. In this speech, I will address his life, some of his songs, and his impact on me as an artist. There's a picture of Ralph Stanley holding his banjo. And this section is his early life. Ralph Stanley was born February 22nd, 1927. It says in Stanley's book in 2009, I was born February 25th, 1927, on what they called Big Spraddle Creek, about 3 miles down the mountain from the old home place on Smith Ridge. In his autobiography, he wrote about how he lived and how he grew up. In Wright's book in 1995, it wrote that he grew up in a small farm. It said the boy's life was pleasant enough, perhaps even as idyllic as their later songs suggest. A semi-subsistence family economy afforded enough to eat and enough cash to get by. If their living conditions was primitive, so were all their neighbors. From chores provided discipline and order, and for Ralph, a valuable source of solace and relaxation. Ralph enjoyed the chores. He enjoyed the structure of the farm that he grew up on, up until his parents divorced when he was 14. After that happened, he searched for purpose and a goal. To fill that void, he joined the Army at 18. He played in the banjo, and they let him do special shows and special assignments so he can kind of travel around in the Army. He was discharged a year and a half after joining, and that's when he formed the Stanley Brothers with his brother in 1945. In 1946, they played Farm and Fun Time from Bristol. In 1948, he began playing the three-finger style instead of the two-finger style. They think that they might have got that from Scruggs, but he would never admit that. In 1949, he recorded with Columbia Records, but it did not go very well, so they took a break from playing in the 1950s. In the 1950s, they worked for Ford Motor Company. Both brothers did. In August 1951, Ralph was in a car accident which almost ended his music career. In 1958, he moved to Florida and him and the Stanley Brothers played on WNIR from 1958 to 1962. They did very well, and in 1966 they toured Europe until Carter Stanley's death in 1966. This caused great depression in Ralph, but he released so many songs kind of as a tribute to Carter that he felt like he made up for the death, and even found some of the old recordings that Carter took part in so that he could release them. Some of his best known recordings are I'm a Man of Constant Sorrow, Angel Band, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, Pretty Polly, I'll Fly Away, Where We'll Never Grow Old, and Oh Death. Angel Band was one of the first songs I heard of the Stanley Brothers or Ralph Stanley. I remember my grandpa used to play it on his radio. He would, well, my papa, I don't know why I called him grandpa, but my papa used to play it on his radio, and he would have us sing along with it, and we would do the different harmonies and the stuff. The same with What a Friend We Have in Jesus. I actually heard the Doc Watson Pretty Polly before I heard the Ralph Stanley version, and I really like the Ralph Stanley version, but to hear both of them and how Doc Watson and Ralph Stanley did them differently kind of blew my mind. I'll Fly Away was my Mama Lawson's, one of her favorite songs. And also Where We'll Never Grow Old. They played in my church a lot as I was growing up. Oh Brother Where Art Thou was a boom to Ralph Stanley's stardom. I mean, he was already very famous, but when Oh Brother Where Art Thou came out and some of his songs were used, like Man of Constant Sorrow, he skyrocketed, and bluegrass kind of started to boom again. It brought bluegrass back to the popularity of the 1960s and 50s where Pete Seeger and those guys had kind of brought it back. Oh Brother Where Art Thou did that to the 2000s. The Oh Death song was the song that spoke to me more than any song in bluegrass, Ralph Stanley's version. It's so poignant and so melancholy, but it also speaks to you on so many levels. It brings the loneliness of dying to you, but it also speaks of hope and reassurance. But in conclusion, Ralph Stanley's life and songs are extremely important to bluegrass music. In this speech, I addressed his life, some of his songs, and his personal impact on me. Because his impact is so vast in bluegrass, mainly because of the revival of his music based on Oh Brother Where Art Thou, I feel like my generation and generations after will be able to enjoy bluegrass on a different level. And the song Oh Death, again, epitomizes bluegrass to me because it is honest and true. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.